Today is day 5 of week 4. This is Friday, so it's time for a little update on how things are going this week. I think have been doing it a little bit earlier in the week, but this has been an extremely busy week. I have been committed to the carnivore diet, so no worries there. But let me give you a little bit of an update on how things are going. Last week, as you recall, I was a little disappointed because, I was gaining weight 3 out of 4 days in the middle of that week. But this week, on Tuesday, gained 0.4 pounds. But on Wednesday, I lost 2 pounds. Thursday, I lost another pound. This morning, I gained 0.8. So overall for the week, I'm down 1.8 pounds so far, but we still have several days to go. That means that I'm still down about 16.2 pounds overall. So all in all, not too bad. A little bit about measurement and how people are judging their weight loss. A lot of times they tell you to get a tape measure and measure your waist and measure your arms and measure your thighs. That's just too much work for me. I measure my gains and losses based on what pant size and what shirt size I'm wearing. So right now, I am really excited to be telling you I'm down 1 pant size. I'm seeing progress. Doesn't really matter whether the weight is up or down as long as I can feel the progress going on. And that's happening. Last week, I thought that perhaps I needed to eat more because maybe that was the problem. Maybe my body thought that I was starving itself, but actually I've not been very good about eating more because I've been so busy this week. I really haven't. But amazingly, I'm just not that hungry. And I just don't feel like eating. I may not feel like eating breakfast. I may not feel like eating lunch. And by the time I get to dinner, it doesn't take a whole lot to fill me up. I guess my stomach has probably shrunk to the point where it feels satiated after a whole lot less, which kind of surprises me because I've seen some of these other carnivore videos where these people are eating massive amounts of meat, like a whole chuck steak or something. I'm just not there. I'm not doing that. I'm just eating a fairly moderate amount of meat. I mean, dinner, it's going to be more than typical. I mean, my plate will typically be pretty full of meat, but it's not outrageously full. Probably not much more than a pound and a quarter, maybe. That's just me for right now, and I guess this week's results, it may be working. So maybe I really had nothing to worry about last week. I just haven't been hungry. I don't know if that's the case for most people at this stage. If it is or not, leave me some comments down below and let me know how that experience has been for you. As far as exercise, I also wanted to be doing a whole lot more exercise. Quite frankly, things have been kind of hectic this week. This is my second YouTube channel. And I also had a company want me to do a video for them, and I had a deadline on that. And so I've been doing a lot of filming, a lot of editing, and in the middle of the editing, just as I was about to finish with one project, my computer crashes because of updates to the software. It crashed like about 6 times and never was able to get it completed on that. So I had to go out, find a brand new computer system, and get it set up. If you've ever set up a computer system at your home, it's not necessarily all that easy. And getting information from one computer over to the other, getting everything hooked up, getting everything disconnected from the old one and reconnected to the new one, and always involves probably an extra cable or two that you didn't have before. It's kept me pretty busy and kind of stressed. And so, no, I really have not been exercising like I should have and not eating like I should have. But I promise I'm going to make a bigger commitment to make a bigger effort for that this coming week. Sleeping. I'm asleep the moment my head hits the pillow, and I'm out until the next morning. This last week has not been so much like that. I've had difficulty getting to sleep. I have laid there for, seems like forever, totally awake. And when I do kind of go to sleep, it's not really a restful sleep, it's more of a restless sleep. And I'm kind of semi-aware, seems like much of the night. And when I get up in the morning, I kind of feel like I've gone a couple of rounds with somebody in the ring. So I think that the carnivore diet is affecting me that way, and I think that I've seen where that's kind of common. Now, I don't know how long this phase lasts, but I'm going through it right now. So I've not had to go through the keto flu, but maybe this is a thing that I'm going to have to go through. So with that said, that kind of brings me to the end of this update, and I will give you some more updates probably sometime this weekend. I'm back with the tip of the day. Now, when you're on carnivore, you're eating a lot of meat, and meat can get expensive. I recently did on Ralph Knows Food a segment on cutting your own steaks from a larger piece of meat. In that case, I used I-round roast, cut it into I-round steaks. I-round roast is not going to produce the most tender meat. Take a look here. There's not a lot of marbling in that. Marbling tends to translate into tender. So how are we going to fix that? First, I salted them down really well, and I'm going to be cooking them in sous vide because it's one of the best ways that I know of to get a tough piece of meat to be a little bit more tender. Now, you don't have to have fancy equipment. You don't have to have a bucket like this. Now, this bucket is not an official, sous vide bucket. It's a bucket that I found at a restaurant supply that I'm using for sous vide. But if you have a big stock pot, you could just substitute your stock pot and it would work just as well. Then the only investment you'd have if you don't have one is just one of these. In my case, a Nova sous vide machine. There's other brands out there, but they have a good price range. I mean, you can get pretty expensive in these things. You can pay several $100s, but for anywhere from $69 to about $130, you can pick up one pretty reasonably priced. I have a food sealer that I bought, but not everybody's going to want to invest in one of those. I think they're a great deal, even if you're not doing sous vide for, if you're buying in bulk, hamburger in bulk, and breaking it down into like 1 pound packages and sealing them up in a really good food sealer, then you can stick them in the freezer and you're not going to get that frost burn that happens in there. But if you don't want to invest in one of those, and I totally can understand why, again, that's probably going to be about another $100, $130. You can do something called the immersion method. Now, I've already done a couple of them. And you just use plastic bags. Don't use just standard bags. You want to make sure that it's a freezer bag because freezer bags are also safe for a sous vide. It's safe for heat. To a limited extent. I mean, you're obviously not going to stick them into the oven, but it'll be perfectly fine for sticking into hot water. Now, obviously, not sealed, but if you take the bag, seal most of it across, stick it in the water, leave that corner that you did not seal kind of up out of the top, press out all the air that you can, and against the side, finish sealing it. Make sure you've got a good seal there. And you can get a pretty decent vacuum seal out of this. Is it going to be as good as the regular food saver type of vacuum sealing? No, it's not going to be quite that tight, but it's going to be tight enough for our purposes here today. I'm putting it in here. Now, sometimes you have difficulty with these things rising. So what I like to do is just take like a measuring cup and stick it in there. And that kind of helps hold things in place. Make room for my sous vide equipment. People like their steaks a lot of different ways. I'm just going to tell you that the more rare or at least medium you make the steak, probably the more tender it's going to be. The more well done you do it, the tougher it's going to be. And I am going to set that 119.5 because sous vides are great for fully cooking throughout the meat to the same consistent temperature, but they're going to come out rather bland looking. And you're going to want to be putting a sear on this thing. So you're probably going to want to put it on some kind of a griddle or a fry pan or something just for the last maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes to put some kind of a sear on it. The longer you leave it in the sous vide bath, the more tender it's going to be. If you wanted to leave this for 24 hours, it's fine because it's never going to rise above that temperature that I set of 119.5. In this case, I'm going to leave it in there for probably about the next 6 hours. Hopefully that's going to be all we need to have a good, tender enough piece of meat for dinner. Maybe even really tender. So that's my little trick for today, and I hope that helps. Okay, this is Monday morning. The weigh-in this morning was the official end to last week's results. So, how did things go? Well, the last several days. On Friday, I gained 0.8 pounds. No big deal. It's going to happen. Saturday, I lost 0.6 pounds. And on Sunday, I lost 0.8 pounds. This morning at weigh-in, 0, dead even. That means for the week, I have lost 3.2 pounds. Not too bad. That kind of matches the results that I had from week 2. So the direction is going the right way. Overall weight loss for the entire 4 weeks, we're looking at about 17.6 pounds. Not too shabby. My sleeping, I mentioned earlier, as having kind of a rough time. I think that is getting better. But something really exciting this week, and this is kind of bringing out the theme for the week for me, is on 2 separate occasions, on 2 different days, I had people that I have fairly regular encounters with who told me that they thought, just out of the blue, my face was looking thinner. They didn't know that I was dieting. They just knew something was different about me and figured out they thought my face looked thinner. For me, that's pretty exciting. I mean, the weight loss is great. The feedback I'm getting myself just from the scale is great. But getting feedback from people that they're seeing a difference, that's truly exciting to me. Now, another nice thing, I've had to go into a size smaller pants since I started this diet. It's 1 whole size smaller, and in men's sizes, that means my waist is probably about a good 2 inches smaller than when I started a month ago, and that's pretty exciting news too. My joints still feeling a little bit inflamed. They're probably better than what they were 4 weeks ago, but the inflammation I think is still there. My ankles I think are still looking kind of puffy. So let's just see how things go next week. Hopefully next week is going to be another very good week. If I can get another 3.5 pound loss next week, I think that would be a definite win. With that said, if you're enjoying these videos, please give me a like down below. Consider a subscription. Please give me comments. I know there's a lot more people out there that know a whole lot more about carnivore, the carnivore lifestyle, carnivore dieting than I know. So I can use all the help I can get or encouragement that I can get. So please leave me comments down below. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and I will catch y'all next week.